host, and we have a wonderful guest. Of course, we do. Um, Trying to make sure I got everything going here. So make sure, because I don't want to forget, that we really want to let you know that we really do appreciate you joining us. And don't forget how you can find us. Make sure you follow and subscribe to Facebook, Black and Craft, and on IG and YouTube is Being Black and Craft, where we go live on YouTube as well as Instagram and on Facebook. But if you can't catch us that on there, the very next day, the podcast Being Black and Craft is available to you. So, um, I guess that's really all that I wanted to make sure that you know. And I just wanted some people who may have been doing Twitter, that man over there, he wants you to pay for you to go live, and I'm not willing to pay that man no money. So sorry about that. And so let's get into some news. So let's get into it. Well, the dust has settled, and Barrel and Flow Fest 2024 is at an end. And I saw some amazing pictures. I saw some great people that I know, people that I would love to have gotten to meet, but unfortunately I wasn't there. But it seems like they had a wonderful time. And this is one of the pictures that I was able to find that gave me so much joy. This is an amazing picture. So one of the last things that they have during Barrel and Flow is the Brewster's Brunch. And they got all these people together to make this epic picture. It's like with the bridge and everything. It's so cool. They did something different. They had it at Mike's Beer Barn. I think that's how. Um, and they had music, they had food and everything. So it's a nice little collection of folks that were able to still stand up and be able to get up in the morning after they've been drinking and socializing all day and all night long that day before. So kudos and shout out to them because they are the true MVPs. So, friend of the show, if you don't know this gentleman, you should. Uh, Marcus Baskerville is changing directions in his life. So he's no longer with Weathered Souls, but he has was making some different pivots, kind of spitball some ideas of what he was wanting to land on. And this is one of the first. I don't think this is the only thing that he's going to be doing, but this is one of the first things that he's going to be doing. So he has created his consulting company, Fresh Consulting. So probably going to be an excellent person that you would reach out to for getting information on collaborations, learning how to do that successfully. He was basically the archetype for doing Black is Beautiful, which is in the African American Smithsonian, as well as he has done countless talks and conversations about wanting to catalyst that tragic murder that happened and bring something positive by collaborating with other breweries to let people know that Black is beautiful. Black is something that is supposed to be appreciated and hold to an appreciation that you should want to support. And doing that, supporting people that are in your neighborhood, creating a beer and maybe initially donating to a local nonprofit or entity that may be, uh, I guess you would say, a marginalized entity. But now, since we do have NB2A, National Black Association Brewers, we have that now. So you get those funds too. It's solely a trademark and entity through NB2A. But I believe those different things with him being in the business for so long, how he's been able to pivot, how he's continuing to pivot is going to be really, really good. So kudos to Marcus and good luck on his continued endeavors. So some sad news, unfortunately, Bassett Brewing. So it's a quote, Bassett Brewing has made an extremely difficult decision to close its doors. The short explanation is the aversion to socioeconomic conditions that began in 2020 was the year that we opened, and it led to a pragmatic decision that we had to that is best for moving forward. For nearly 4 years, we fought against the persistent unfavorable challenges within the beer industry to keep the doors open, but with limited options available to us, and the financial burden has proven to be too great. We want to sincerely thank everyone near and far who supported us, and they close on August 6th. So, um, sad news. They were located in Florida, and maybe, they can try again and get some funding in another position because that particular area in Florida. There's not a lot of breweries out there, especially for people of color. So there was definitely will be a loss, but we hope to see them sometime soon. But on positive note, Page and Fire. I thought I mentioned this, but I wasn't really sure. But this is another entity. He John had just created a new beer, but an even a better thing is now his beers are available in North Carolina. And Cajun Fire is based out of New Orleans, and it's going to be available statewide in North Carolina. So places like Total Wine, Harris Teeter's, Food Lion, Whole Foods, when and Harlem Brewing, shout out to Celeste, is the distributor. So if you're in North Carolina and you have those stores near you, you can get some Cajun Fire, which is great. And then it's also frustrating because I live in Texas and I can't get it nowhere near me. So, but the way things happen with distribution is crazy. So I understand why. So hopefully I'll just keep on keeping my fingers crossed until I get over to New Orleans and have to pick me some up. And that is it for our BBC News. So I think that's all that I have. So let me go ahead and invite my guest on. Hello. Hey,
Hello.
how are you?
I am well. I am well.
Good, good, awesome. So, um, what is start? I think I would be remiss if I didn't ask because you are the dirty barista. What you might be, what are you sipping on this evening?
Today, I'm actually sipping on some iced coffee. I brewed what's called the flash brew, and that's just where you brew your coffee over ice so that it's instantly chilled. But you split your water with the amount of ice so that it's not diluted. It's still the right amount of water. So even if my ice melts in my cup, my coffee will stay the correct dilution. So yeah, that's what that's what I made.
We'll definitely get into that because I thought I liked coffee until I met you. I don't think I don't do coffee well. I don't give it justice enough. So let's get into it for sure. So one of the questions I didn't write it down, but it was always in my head.
Mhm.
So when someone says, I'm going to Starbucks, do you cringe? Do you
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah. I
I'm going?
cringe way less now because I've just been doing it so long, but I still am like, are you sure? Like, what else is closed? And don't bring me any. People stop finally giving me Starbucks gift cards as gifts. I'm like, I don't like Starbucks.
I can imagine. I can imagine us being like, "Mm-mm, no, ma'am. I absolutely not. Absolutely not. All right, there we go. I knew something was going on with my Instagram. So, can you share with us the story behind your name, The Dirty Barista? I know it's like a nod to Janelle Monáe with Dirty
Mhm.
Computer. So tell us how you decided to, other than the album, was there something that just made you like gravitate to saying you're the Dirty Barista?
Yeah, it really did start with the album, like me giving myself that identity. And I just recently started to embrace it even more. But when I first started in coffee, this was 12 years ago, and I was the only Black barista that I knew. And it kind of was just like a fall in line type of thing. Like, in order to be perceived as a good barista, I needed to fall in line with everything that everybody was doing, no matter how different I wanted to be. Anything different was going to make me get pushed to the wayside. And I didn't really get recognition, not that I was even looking for it technically, but I didn't even get recognition as a barista until I was already 8 years into my coffee career. And so people just kind of expect a certain level of like craft from you, or like expect like a specific way that it's done. And I just decided I'm not doing it anymore. And I'm like, if that makes me like bad or malfunctioned as a barista, that's what it is. But I also jumped into liquor, which a lot of it's like a straight shot from being a coffee person to being into liquor. I don't know why, but it just happens a lot of the time. You'll see a lot of baristas go into beer, wine, or spirits. Um, and so I say I'm a barista in every sense of the word because I do bartending and coffee, but I do it how I want to do it. And so I'm like, if that makes me not what you would say a barista is, then so be it. But I say that I'm a barista. I'm just the dirty barista.
And so that I think that kind of answers my other question, which came first, or which do you, as far as like your preferred? It's gonna. My assumption is the coffee is your first love. Compared, if I had to choose between coffee and spirits.
Yeah, my coffee is my first love, but spirits has made a quick ascend to something that I really do care about and enjoy
Mhm.
and value and respect. I kind of kept it at an arm's length for a while because I was so nervous about the past like struggles with alcohol in my family. And I was like, I don't really want to, I don't want to touch that. But once I started learning about them, I'm like, as long as I feel like I'm respecting what it is and I'm using it as my craft and an art in a way to like connect with people and educate people and give people like some sort of comfort, then I feel fine. I'm like, I really like spirits, and they're just as deep as coffee, if not deeper. So I like both of them really. But I started with coffee.
Well, I totally forgot to mention that one thing that I had, well, this weekend I had an event with Moo and Margaritas, and I had my little taster glass of my Being Black and Crafts
That is
Moo
cute.
Margaritas 2024. But I went looking and I found a quick recipe that you had online, which was the jelly jar margarita. And I was like, I have these ingredients. Real simple. I
Mhm.
love that it was real simple and it's quite tasty.
Good. I'm glad you like it. I really love a simple recipe. I like a detailed recipe too. Don't get me wrong. You've probably seen my
Oh, I
15
do.
step cornbread cocktail.
We gonna talk about that. We definitely having a conversation about that. I mentioned that to someone that you're coming on the show, and I think he said he was on iteration 2 or 3. I said, no, she up to 4.
I'm up to 5 now. I just posted another one.
See, okay. So tell me, um, you're on a desert island.
Yes.
What 3 things are you bringing to make a craft cocktail?
Oh. Wait, is the island tropical? Is the fruit already there? Do I have to bring my own fruit?
No, everything is there. It's as far as the equipment. What
Okay.
equipment are you needing to bring?
What equipment am I bringing?
Hmm.
I'm
3.
bringing a mason jar with a lid,
Hmm.
because then I have a shaker and a cup all in one.
Okay.
An ice maker. some, and some way to plug it in. I need some ice. And let's just assume this desert island has electricity. Uh, an ice
Well,
maker, I need ice.
Gilligan's Island, well, it's probably before your time, but Gilligan's Island, they made a little rolling, like a little bike, and they made electricity that way. So,
That's true. Okay, well, let's say I got that. I'm getting my exercise in. I have to work for my cocktail. Okay. So, a jar, ice, and what else would I take? I don't know. I think I would take just a bottle of tequila or some vodka from there's a distillery called Delta Dirt, and they have probably the best vodka
Mm-hmm.
I've ever had, and I would probably take a bottle of that, and then I'm
Okay.
good. I'm good.
I'm hearing good things about Delta Dirt. So yeah, that's on my to-do list to try to check them out.
Yeah, they're an Arkansas brewery, which is or distillery, which is cool.
Yes. Yes. Oh, you know what? No, I have because they had oh, what was it made out of? It was a gin, but it
Yeah.
was made out of, was it peas? Oh,
Uh,
it was made out of something sweet potato.
yeah.
Sweet
Their vodka
potato.
sweet potato, it is
Delicious.
smooth.
Delicious.
It's so good. I'm like, Arkansas, because I'm from Arkansas, does not always have
Mhm.
a good name in the news. But I'm like, this distillery is putting us in a good place. I'm like so
Yes.
thankful for them.
So, what inspires you for, when you make your cocktails? And I'm saying, when I say cocktails, even your coffee creations, because you do some
Mhm,
different things with your coffee as well.
mhm.
What specific flavors or something that you make, some cultural references that you may have that have influenced you to make different cocktails?
Oh, so many. Music is a very big influence because if I listen to something, it'll just motivate me to want to create too if I think it sounds really good. And so
Hmm.
that influences me to want to create. But like, I really like, and this evident with the cornbread cocktail, but I really like taking ingredients that can be seen as like ghetto or low class or whatever, and
Hmm.
making it into something that I would sell at a restaurant for $15. Like using
Okay.
Kool-Aid in a drink, using cornbread in a drink, use making a Kool-Aid pickle cocktail. Like I just like to make things that seem low class, seem high class. Like I'm like, it doesn't take there's a thin line between high and low class. It just depends on how you present it and who you're presenting it to. And so just letting that kind of guide me is kind of how I do it. When I was younger, my mom used to put me in charge of making the Kool-Aid for the house for the week. And I'm in there with all the packages. I'm in there looking at the flavors, thinking about how's this going to taste with this and that. And so that's kind of how I do it now too. I go in my liquor closet and look around and see what I have and see what I can create from that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I know you do events.
Oh yeah.
So when you're doing your events,
Mhm.
are you they're telling you, hey, we're having a birthday party, we're having a wedding, and they're allowing you to create a menu, or are they asking you specifically, um, I need you to make these things? Well, how do
Yeah,
you?
it's both. Sometimes people
Okay.
are like, I like tequila, do what you want. Or they're
Hmm.
like, I really like lemon drop martinis, but I want it to match our theme, which is red velvet, something like that.
Hmm.
So I do both. I'll make suggestions, but I really like it when they say I'm having a wedding and they tell me like the theme or the color, and then they just want me to do something with that. It's also helpful if they'll say, I want a vodka drink that's pink. Okay. So I do both ways, but I like it when they give me the free reign because then I don't have like the constrictions and I can make adjustments based off of what I think would taste good and not what they think will taste good because that's not always what tastes good. But yeah, I do both. Sometimes like the last wedding that I did, they asked for like very traditional cocktails but gave me the free range to like tweak them, so like a sidecar margarita old fashioned, but I did a toasted caramel old fashioned and a pineapple margarita with a little bit of spice. I also had
Hmm.
people say, this is my wedding cake, I'm having a pomegranate lemon cake, can you make a pomegranate lemon cocktail? So it's both.
So it's not bad when I go to my local watering hole and say, surprise me. Is that a challenge, or is that like, oh girl, just tell me what you want?
I guess it just depends on the mood of the person. I'm very much so for a surprise. I definitely ask you a question like, do you like it sweet? Do you like it sour? Do you like it to be more fruit, like juicy, or do you like it to be more liquor heavy? Because I also want you to like it. So I'll
Right.
ask you a couple of questions, but then I'm off. I like the free range,
Okay.
so it just
Okay.
depends on the person. You can tell in their face when you ask if they're like they kind of light up, they're like yes, or if they're like You're like, you know what? Just give me a margarita.
Old
Like,
fashioned. Just yeah, just give me old fashioned. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
yeah. What do you
Yeah.
normally order?
I'm definitely an old fashioned girl, and I would like a smoke old fashioned. There's a place here in Dallas that I
Mm-hmm.
go to called Whiskey's. It's a black owned whiskey bar, and I go there and I'll order my old fashioned whiskey sour,
Mm,
then a smoked old fashioned. And
love
so
all of
by
that.
that time had those, it's probably past time for me to go and get something to eat because I don't have any food there. There's no food there.
Oh,
Yes, that's the only thing. There's no peanuts, no popcorn, no nothing. So
oh.
you have to make sure that you go ahead and already eat before you get
Hmm.
there. To kind of, and then there's a little taqueria around the corner. So I go over there and give me something, and then yeah,
They need a
th-
tamale lady to pull up and open up her trunk for y'all.
that's the only thing that's missing. I love that place, and I go during happy hour because they are proud. The drinks are worth every penny of it. But
Hmm.
if I can get the same thing for $7, I'm a
Don't get the $7 version.
I'm gonna be there when you open up. And I was so glad that one of the last times I'm sitting in my car reading my book, waiting for them to open up at 5 o'clock. And I wasn't the only one. People we just be waiting. Open, open, come
Yeah,
on.
see, that's a good tip because I have family in Dallas. That's where I was born. That's where my whole dad side of the family is. So next time I go down there, I'm like, we're going to whiskey, then we're going at 5. Okay, we're gonna be there
Definitely,
on time.
definitely. Yes,
I gotta
yes.
leave the house at 3 so we can get there by 5.
I bet
And
you,
we'll
I
be on
bet
time.
you they know this place that they live there.
I'm gonna ask them.
Because their Sandaga is a jazz live music venue. Same owner is right there. And then at the very front, they're opening up a cigar lounge. So
Ooh.
he's basically taking the whole block. So you're gonna be
Mm-hmm.
able to do whatever you want for the whole evening. So it's
Okay.
it's it's perfect. It's perfect.
Hmm.
So how do you balance your I think we kind of balance your creativity and your practical aspects of running a business. How you balancing that out as far as like, being able to zhuzh up your catering, but
Mm-hmm.
then making sure that, we still paying the bills and not
Mm-hmm.
being going too out there.
It's hard. It's hard because I'm a creative first. And that's like where I feel the most comfortable. So that's where I just lean. And I'm like, when
Mm,
I feel like the pressure of I have to make money, I'm like, I'll just create. But really, it's my partner. He helps me a ton. He helps me a ton. I know not
mm,
everybody is as blessed to have somebody that can help them, but he really helps me. He's the one that sat me down and like in front of all these business podcasts to like pick out what we need
mm,
to keep the business together. And I did make the decision to leave my full-time job and my part-time job and just depend on myself, which is a really scary thing to do, especially when you are not
mm.
that experienced in managing like a lot of money. Not to say I have a lot of money. I do not, but I will have a lot of money. I'm just
Yes.
using this as my time to get it together. So really, it's actually forcing myself to do it. It's forcing myself to check my bank account. It's forcing myself to actually see what is owed and what's coming in and how to fill in those gaps if there are gaps, and there are gaps. So
Mm,
yeah, it's really hard. I don't know if I answered how I do it. That's pretty much what I do. All I know is it's hard. And I'm
yes.
hoping that in the next 2 to 3 years, I will feel way more comfortable in like the money side of things, taxes, just making sure I understand everything better and trying to keep up with all of that. I hope I don't owe taxes. I'm paying them. I'm like, well, hopefully they don't pop up in a few years like, girl, you did not pay
Right.
them all.
I mean, and it's about taking that leap to bet on yourself, and and knowing that, you're not going to have all the answers, but if you wait and try to get all the answers, you're never going to get to the place that you need to go.
That's
So
true.
I
Because it's just
so
no,
I
you
can
don't know until you're in there.
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, business is is hard. I understand. I overstand. I overstand.
Like, why is it so hard? And it's fun though. I really do enjoy it. I enjoy the journey of like I wasn't at first. I was very upset with my failures, but now I'm starting to enjoy them more because it's just. I mean, you have to fail because you don't know
Yeah.
what you're doing, and that's what I realize about a lot of businesses is that they don't know what they're doing. So I'm like, I'm not alone. We none of us know what we're doing. We're just doing our best.
Yes.
And as long as I am dedicated to like continuing to grow and learn more, then I feel okay with my failures.
Yeah. So tell me, okay, because I feel like you do a lot of things that are just fresh and natural. What are three ingredients that we as the public should
Mhm.
stop buying pre-bought and make fresh?
You can make your own sweet and sour mix really easily. It's just lemon and lime juice mixed together, with a little sugar. Um, what is another thing that I always get on people about buying? I'm on the fence about it now, but non-alcoholic spirits. Um, I've had some good ones that are really really flavorful, but they're expensive. I mean, so is liquor, but you can find a $7 bottle of tequila. You're not going to find a $7 bottle of a non-alcoholic spirit. And so I always say you can use apple cider vinegar in replace of your liquor with half the amount that you would use. So if you use an ounce of liquor, use a half ounce of apple cider vinegar or a fourth of an ounce. And then you have like a little spark to your drink without having liquor or a non-alcoholic spirit. That's that. And also, in the coffee realm, Starbucks. There's just so much better coffee. I think that so many people think that coffee tastes bad because they're just buying bad coffee. And this is no shade to anyone that likes Starbucks, Folgers, Maxwell House, any of the big brands or whatever. But check out your local coffee shop if you really do like coffee, because they could probably change your whole perspective on how you're enjoying your coffee, and you can really probably enjoy it even more. Those are my three things.
Yeah, so speaking of coffee, let's get into it. Um, I do a French press, but I
Mhm.
was watching one of your videos, because I'm usually scrolling, Instagram, minding my business, loving Jesus like I do, my norm. And I've seen this apparatus before where you have like the glass bowl and you have the coffee filter and you're just pouring the hot water and it's making the coffee. Well, I don't
Mhm.
know what that process is,
Mhm.
what that process is called. Is that your preferred method? Um,
I
or is
have
it
multiple methods. I actually really like the French press a lot because it's easy. You just pour your water in, you let it sit, and it's done. It's called that's immersion process where you like let it steep
okay?
like tea. But what I
Mm,
do a lot of the time, and how I just make my coffee is a pour over. It's just pouring the water over, and the the biggest difference between every single coffee brewing method is the filter. So it really just depends on what I'm in the mood for. So,
oh,
a French press has that mesh filter. So at the bottom of your cup, sometimes you'll have like some sludge. And that's
mhm,
because a lot of the solids can get through because the mesh filters are porous. But with the pour over filters, they could be really thick. And that gives you way less solids, which results in what feels like a smoother cup. And so if I'm using like a more expensive coffee or a coffee that I really like, I'd probably use it in my pour over just so I can get that smooth taste with it. But my everyday coffee, I'm throwing it in the French press. I know what it tastes like. It's my coffee and I'm just drinking it real quick. But regular coffee makers, the coffee filter is kind of thin. So it's really like a
yeah.
between of the French press and a pour over where you can get some sludge, but it also captures more than the French press does. So really it's just the mood of what you're trying to do.
Am I getting these filters at my local grocery store or am
Yeah.
I going to the I am.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
I wish
probably
I
passing
had some
right
of the
by it.
regular. Yeah, you can just buy them. There's like some that have like this like I guess
Yeah,
kind of a cone
yeah,
shape.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've seen those.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Those work fine. I use those more than anything, but I just ran out. I need to go to the Walmart and get some more. But yeah, the brown filters, white filters, they're at the store.
So, and so that makes me think of something else. So, am I cussing you out when I say I have a Keurig? Am I cussing you out?
No, here's the thing. I say coffee is 100% preference. I just want everyone to enjoy the coffee that they make, how they make it. And the Keurig, it's not my favorite, but you can like fill your own pods, and they do give you like that quick option. So I just have made
Mhm.
myself find pods that I like. So if I'm ever in the situation with the Keurig, I'm like, okay, I can still make it.
Okay. And I think that's probably the reason why, because usually when I'm doing like the French press or something like that, that means I've gotten up really early so I can let it
Hmm.
seep. Which is probably would be the preference because I can go ahead and do that and go and walk the dogs, and then by the time I get back,
Hmm.
it's ready to go. But usually I'm running, so but I can press that button
Yeah,
once and I'm off to the races.
yeah.
So
I'm big on convenience. So I'm like, if it's convenient, then do it, boo, do
that,
it.
but I've been really really interested in that. Did you say immersion method?
Oh, the pour over method is the one where you.
Preferred method,
Hmm.
yes. So I've been very interested because I've had coffee like that and I've enjoyed it. And my
Yeah.
friend has been giving me buying me coffee beans because she knows that I like coffee, and she's when she's going to, like, I think she just went to Costa Rica. Yeah, she went to Costa Rica, so she brought me some stuff back. So I want to use it. Okay.
Hmm.
So can you share a time with me when you faced a challenge during the event and how did you handle it?
Ooh, let me think. The challenges really are on me a lot of the times. I forgot
Mhm.
this, I didn't do that. And I started doing the two is one is none method so that I have enough stuff, because that's the worst is when you don't have enough stuff. And so I'm like, I
Mhm.
have minimum two of everything. Because if you have two, it's basically like having one. Because I've definitely experienced where I only had one spoon in my bag and I dropped it. Okay. But the biggest challenges have been weather for outside events.
Mm.
And it's really hot, it's really cold, it's raining, there's flies, there's ants. Like, just trying to manage that. And the biggest way I've managed that is with my equipment, making sure that bugs cannot get to it. Especially the flies. Those are the hardest ones because they're just
Yeah.
everywhere.
'Cause you're using something, maybe something that's maybe acidic, and they're like, "Oh, mm, this is great."
Yeah. I keep a wet towel like to wipe off all the syrups, make sure that everything's like clean, that's sticky, things like that. And
Mm.
also just not being afraid to advocate for what I need at the venue. So if I'm outside and it is cold, not just standing there suffering, be like, hey, what accommodations does this venue have for me being outside in the cold bartending at your bar that you have outside? So
Right.
it's just learning that I can like speak up for myself. And because sometimes, and I haven't heard anybody else express this yet, so maybe it's just me, but sometimes when I show up at an event and I'm bartending, I feel like I'm the help, and I'm like, I don't want to
Mm.
ask for anything because I'm just here to help. But I'm like, really, I'm not saying I make the event, but I'm a part of this event
Yeah.
and I'm being paid to
That's
get
a
here.
talent.
Yeah, exactly. I'm the most popular person here outside of the people that is, you know, because I see everybody. So I'm like, I want to make sure that I'm giving your guests a really good experience. So in order to do that, I need to make sure that I'm comfortable at the venue. So just making sure I'm comfortable at the venue and not being afraid to ask, not feeling like the help.
Well, let's get into the game. I do have a game for us to play. Let me go ahead and put it up. So let's
Covers and
play covers and cocktails.
oh my
So
God.
you alluded to how you really use some music that inspires you. So I was pulling some things and want to see basically our game, how you play it. I'm gonna give you an iconic album cover, And you're gonna tell me
Ooh.
a coffee or a cocktail that matches the essence of the music. If you don't feel a connection, just say I'll have water instead. So let's see what we got here.
This is amazing. I'm so excited. This is fun.
So let's get to it. So first one.
Ooh, Anita Baker, Caught in the Rapture or the Rapture. Okay. So for this is very grown. This is very
Mm,
grown. This is like this is an album my mom really liked. Her name is Onita, so she felt very close to Anita. And this is like glass in hand, cigarette in the other. This album,
mhm,
I would do a wine-based cocktail, a red wine-based
mm,
cocktail, but I would add in just a splash of whiskey. So like maybe like a whiskey sour with a red wine float. So kind of like a Manhattan,
mm.
but whiskey. That's what I would do for this.
Sounds nice. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes, James Brown. This one, James is very high energy. So I would
Mhm.
definitely do a coffee cocktail with this, but I don't want it to be heavy. So I would do, I like to make coffee limeades. So I would do a coffee limeade where I do coconut water instead of water for the lemonade so that you're hydrated, but also you have a little coffee in there so you're energized so you can dance to the music.
You just blew my mind with coffee limeade. I'm sorry.
It's delicious.
Wow. Oh, okay.
Al Green. Okay, let's stay together. Let's see. This feels like, Al Green's trying to win back his woman after his life of, debauchery. And so let's see. This is gonna be a wine and dine situation. We're gonna be way more on the dainty side with our hand, but we need to stay clear because we're trying to, be present in the moment. So we're gonna do just a nice white wine with this one.
Okay. Nice.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Kendrick, man, wow. What would I do for this one? For this one, I would do a shot. I would do a shot because it's kind of like when you listen to a Kendrick album, you have to get yourself together.
Wow. Wow.
You got to get yourself together and take the shot and be like, let's go. And so I've made a gin and juice shot before. So I would probably do the gin and juice shot just to give like a nod to Compton with the Snoop reference. And my gin and juice shot has gin, apple juice, a little bit of orange bitters, and then a sugar cube to get to like smooth it out. This is a smooth shot. It's not gonna burn, but it's gonna calm you down so you can focus a little bit on the album so you're not so antsy as you listen to it, because you will get antsy. You will
See,
get
that
antsy.
sounds nervous because that sounds like I can have more than one, and then I'm like, uh-oh.
You can definitely have more than one. It's too easy to drink. Oh my gosh, Ice Spice. This is definitely a younger vibe. So we do more of like one of those like gimmicky fruity drinks, like an Adios
Okay.
MF or something that's like bright and beautiful. Ooh, like a pink panty. A pink panty would be good because we know how
Mm-hmm.
Ice Spice is with her panties. So
Yeah.
a pink panty, you're with your girls drinking pink panties, or a peach Bellini because it's like a brunch vibe. So a peach Bellini or a pink panty. Oh my gosh, old Luther. Woo! Now this is the time for the old fashioned, I think. This is the
All
time
right.
where you bust it out. Your man has an old fashioned, you might have a whiskey sour, something like that, but whiskey needs to be involved in this one. Really, actually, probably just either whiskey neat or an old fashioned. This is straight liquor. This is
Mm,
straight liquor.
that's what I'm talking about. Straight look.
Ooh, this one, okay, we're throwing it back. It's a throwback.
Yeah, this is
Okay.
that.
Oh my gosh. Okay. This is my dad. This is my dad right here. Anita Rick was my mom. This is my dad. And he is like a beer guy. He's a beer guy. So I would do a beer cocktail where I do beer, add a little bit of butterscotch in there, like a butterscotch liqueur, and just vibe. Just vibe. Ice cold. Because we're outside listening to this in the yard. So we don't want to get too overheated. So we need an ice cold beer with just a little bit of, so a little butterscotch liqueur, I think.
Okay.
Ah, a classic. My daughter just watched The Wiz for the first time this past fall. Loved it.
Really?
I was so happy. I thought she was gonna be scared, but she watched it over and over and over
It
again.
is scary.
It is a little scary. I was like, "Are you gonna be scared?" But she was watching it on her own. I was like, "What are you watching?" She's like, "The Wiz." I was like, "Okay." So The Wiz, we are easing on down the road. We're gonna do a lemonade for this one. For the yellow brick
Mm.
road, you know. So I really love flavored lemonades, and flavored lemonades are in right now. I don't know what happened, but I feel like
Mm.
it's just lemonade mania. So we're gonna do a lemonade, and we're going to do a spicy lemonade for this one. You
Nice.
got to stay on your toes in the Wiz, because anything could pop up at any time.
Right. All
Oh,
right.
this
Well,
was a
thank
fun
you for
game.
playing. Thank you for playing. That was wonderful hearing your mind work and hearing all those amazing. I would drink every single one. I'd have to, I'd make sure that I would have my Uber and Lyft ready. I would
Okay.
definitely drink every single one. So let's see. Let me um get into something else. I want to also go back to something else that I saw about you.
Oh
Now
yes.
you actually have a book, The Dirty
Hmm.
Barista,
Hmm.
that's available on Amazon.
Hmm.
Now, how old is the book? It's been out in print for a minute, right?
I put it out in 2022, so 2 years. Hmm.
Yeah, not long at all.
Hmm.
So I wanted to I want to make sure that people knew, especially
Okay.
I don't know if the jelly jar margarita's in there, but if it's anything like this, as far as like simple cocktails, or even some more that may be a little bit more challenging, you might have to go and get you a couple more things.
Hmm.
Um, it seemed really your directions were very, very easy to follow.
Thank you.
So I want to make sure that people know to go out and get the Dirty Barista
Yes.
um, and check that out. But the one thing that I saw that I was just like, I found out was
Sweet.
let me because I started reading. I was like, now, girl, what happened to you? And you say, and go and check out it further. Da, 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 da. I was like, oh, it's a book. And
Hmm.
then I saw the cover with a knife, which is one of my I'm a book reader. I went and had a whole date at the library with myself because that's what single and satisfied, but love to read books. And so that's when I have my dates. I
Hmm.
do twosomes or threesomes or foursomes. I'll read two or three books at one time.
Hmm.
And basically I rate things as far as like I like thrillers and I like maybe a little bit of horror. I don't like horror. I will You can't get me to go and see a horror movie, but I'll read about it all day, the gore and all.
That's because you can control like the scary of it. It's gonna be as
Yes.
scary as you can see it.
So I love seeing I like a little stabby stabby. That's what I usually tell people. I like a little stabby stabby. So sweet is out of because I was thinking it's got to be something that you have seen or just being in you said that you wrote it while you were doing Uber Eats.
Yeah.
So that intrigued me because that even led to me could be another novel within itself doing Uber Eats and like, oh, I just witnessed a murder, da 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 da. So tell me, how did you come to it? I know you did it in the car and everything, but when
Hmm.
did you decide, you know what, got a book in me?
It's again my partner. He's like, you should write books. You should write books. I had already started the Dirty Barista when he met me, and he's like, why don't you just finish it? I was like, I don't know, I don't know. So I finally finished it, and I was like, okay, this is great. But with Sweet, I really wanted to find an outlet where I could really put everything I like in one place. Because I do drinks, I feel like sometimes that's what I'm confined to and what people expect. And so I'm like, will they care if I write a book? But I also, I mean, no person just likes one thing only. And so I'm like, I need a way to put everything I like in one place. And I love to read. I spend a lot of time reading growing up. I have less time to read now, but I always have a book that I'm reading. I have two that I'm reading right now. And I've read
Mhm.
Sweet so many times. I just think it's so fun. But yeah, what I really enjoy is drinks. And Sweet in this book is a fiction book. Sweet is a bartender in Arkansas, and there's recipes in the book. And
Mhm.
I like a little stabby. So there's some stabby in there. Sweet is
Yeah.
a facilitator of death in sorts. And I also like spicy books. And so it is a spicy book. There are sex scenes. And that was probably like the hardest part about it, because I'm like, I'm really letting people in my mind. And I didn't realize that about authors when they write books, how much they're letting you into their mind. Like with as much of
Mhm.
my mind that I put in this book, I'm like, people are gonna think I'm crazy, but I'm not. I'm like, we all kind of like this stuff, right? And being in the South, I'm like, I don't want, my peers be like, girl, that book was
It's gonna be like, girl, you better come over here and let me pray for you. Pray that out. Pray that spirit out of you.
okay. So I started writing it. I was like, it'll take me a month because I already knew how I was gonna start it and I knew the ending. That middle part,
Mm.
I underestimated
Yes.
it. I thought it was
Yes.
gonna take 1 month, it took 9. And just because I had to have breaks to let myself get inspired to write the meat of the book and keep it interesting. It was so much harder than I anticipated, but I love it. I'm already working on the second one. There's gonna be 3 total. I'm
Yes.
already working
Okay.
on the second one, and I just think it's a really interesting way to incorporate drinks, because I want to figure out how to incorporate drinks in as much as I can. I want to be a drink creator that operates like an artist or like a rapper or something like that, so that I'm like not just this one thing. Like I wanted to show how much drinks are incorporated in our life. Like everybody has a
Mhm.
drink that they go to, even if that's just water. So I'm trying to incorporate it in as many different things as I can. So a novel, and there we go. Sweets bartending for people.
Yeah. So, I want to make sure that the audience knows that that book is available.
Yeah.
The name is it Corinthia?
Yes, that is correct. It is Corinthia
Corinthia
McLennan.
McLennan. That's why I
Mm-hmm.
because the knife is glaring is in the thing, so I
Yeah.
can't see it. So I want to make sure that people know to look for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got some Amazon gift cards, and I was
Yes.
like, oh, let me make sure because I have a need, and when I don't, especially when it's something that people have referred to me and said,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this is a great book. I was like, but nobody. No, they said they died, but that was it. I want to hear about the murder.
Oh yeah, it's definitely. I really wrote this book the way that I like to read books. I'm like, I wanted to get to the interesting part kind of quick, so it's a short book. It's like 130, 40 pages, and
Okay.
I'm like, and I like the details of the murder. I'm like, am I crazy? But I'm like, I want to know what happened. So
So
there is detail. So there is a trigger warning that there is some gruesome death details. It's not like a Saw where it's like really really gory, but is details. Is details, and there's also music incorporated in the book too.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
So is there any preferred weapon of not aliveness that you like as far as like knife, gun, or is it physical strength that you feel like that is like one of your absolute go-tos?
It just depends on the person, but I like
Mm.
physical strength because I mean with a weapon, so like a knife or whatever, but I like the majority of it to be the person overpowering the villain essentially, because it's like it's one
Mhm.
thing to shoot somebody, it's another thing to overpower somebody.
Right.
And in Sweet specifically, it's her, a small woman, overpowering a lot of like aggressive men and women. And so it's like, I don't know, it's like it's a power trip. I don't really I don't have any more other power trips, but like the fact that just like you think you can beat me physically but you really can't, that's like, I love that, a little bit of an underdog feeling. But As far as weapons go, sadly, I want to. If I feel like if we've committed to killing, then you should really commit. And I'm like, use
Yes.
something kind of crazy, like a hammer or or a saw or something like that.
Yes.
I'm glad you
Me,
don't think
me,
I'm crazy saying
me,
this.
me
Okay.
me and you right here, because there was one book that because I read so much. I know some people collect books, but I read them and I'll go ahead and donate it, or
Mm-hmm.
I'll be at getting a pedicure one time and I finished the book and I was just so ingrained in the book. The lady was like, "What are you reading?" I said, "Here, I finished it. You can have it."
I love
But there's
that.
one book that I read, and the very like the third page, they found a nose in the garbage disposal. I said, "I am in.
Oh, yes. See, I like that. I like to get to that. What is
I'm
going
in.
on?
I want to know. I'm nosy. I want to know."
Yes. See, okay, we're right. I'm glad. I'm glad that you're not like, ooh, because
No, no,
I
no,
think
no,
you're gonna
no.
like sweet.
Okay, good, good. So that's on my to do list. Definitely, I'm gonna be checking that out. Um, let's see. One thing I think we got to get into before we leave is the infamous
Oh yeah.
and amazing cornbread cocktail.
Oh my.
Tell me how you even fathom in your brain, I want to do something different, and I think cornbread is going to be the body of this cocktail.
It's so crazy because I did not expect it to get as much attention as it did in the way that it did. I didn't expect everybody to be like, "Oh my gosh, this is great," but I really didn't expect people to be upset. But there's a new ice cream shop here, and they had a cornbread ice cream, and I
Hmm.
never got to taste it. And I was like, "Dang, I really want to know what that tastes like." And I was like, "I wonder if I can make a cornbread cocktail."
Okay.
And I started brainstorming, like, how would I do that? What would and I started seeing, like, once my mind started going, I started seeing all the possibilities of what it could be. And I was like, I think I'm gonna try this. And I think I'm gonna have to try it more than once. I think I'm gonna have to try it more than twice. I think this is gonna be a journey. And it made me so excited thinking about the challenge of trying to create the illusion of a taste. I also very much so enjoy corn, like a lot. I think it's so tasty. And I just look forward to it in the summer. And it's just so sweet. And it's so good on the grill. It's good boiled. It's good as like a topper. Like I think corn is so good, and cornbread specifically just has like, being in Texas, like cornbread, there's just so many occasions where cornbread is acceptable. When you're having beans, when you're having greens, when you're having chicken, when you're having pork chops, I'm just like, a side of cornbread really sets it off. Like, it used to, like when my mom made cornbread, I would get so excited. And so I really wanted to capture that taste in a drink while highlighting the liquor. And it is hard. It's really hard, but it's really fun.
I'm thinking about it as far as like when I'm thinking of cornbread, I'm thinking of like nice, warm, buttery,
Mm-hmm.
and the way that you have, because you told me you're on your fifth iteration
Yeah.
of attempting to make the cocktail to
Mm-hmm.
be what you're wanting it to be, but you have deconstructed the whole idea from cornbread, just even deconstructing the corn process, where you're
Mm-hmm.
using the husk, you're using the corn, you're stripping the corn off and you're using the cob,
Mm-hmm.
everything of it, and you're making the brown butter. And I was just like, I was like, and I know the people said, they were like, "Why are you doing it? Why are you West?" I'm like, no, no, you stay in your lane. She's saying she's making a cornbread. So you're doing, to me, you're going above and beyond, and you're thinking way out of the box to get to whatever you're trying to get
Mm-hmm.
to, because you are the only person that's gonna know this is it.
Yeah, because I'm definitely looking for something. I'm not exactly sure, but once I taste it, I'm like, that's the one.
Right. And
Yes.
you would have stopped it too if that was all that was that's all it was.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I really have enjoyed the journey part of it, and just even thinking about, You know what? I never would have thought about using the husk as far as like trying to
Yes.
get those components out and knowing that that is something that that will definitely make a difference. And you're able to see, okay, well, I've used this and I've done this and this has taken me so far, but no, I'm gonna try it this way. But what I haven't seen lately is I've seen you deconstruct the corn process, but
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen you like I guess it initially started with you just making cornbread and just like using that. And
Mm-hmm.
have you done cornmeal?
I've done cornmeal and I made
Okay.
cornbread. And that's where the cornbread came from in the third one, which is the one that blew up. Is because in the second one, I made cornbread. The first one, I attempted to make it with corn soda. Bad choice. That's the first one is
Mm,
the worst one. It tasted disgusting. But all the other ones after were drinkable. They just didn't taste like cornbread. And so I made cornbread for the second one, used it in the second and the third, and used cornmeal in the fourth and the fifth. And I think for my next one, so I have two final goals. One is to make a cold one that does taste like cornbread, and one is to make a warm one that captures that like holiday spirit of cornbread where it's warm, it's buttery, it's comforting. So with the sixth one, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make cornbread from scratch and use that in the drink. I have my grandmother's cast iron. I got it when she passed, and I'm like,
mm,
maybe her spirit when I make the cornbread in her cast will come into the cornbread and give me what I need. But I'm gonna attempt to make cornbread from scratch because I used Jiffy the first time, and I like
okay.
Jiffy. I mean it's great. It works fine. So I used Jiffy, but I needed to have that more authentic cornbread taste. Like if it were hot water cornbread, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And so I think that's what I'm gonna do. Because I do like what the cornmeal adds to it. And so I'm gonna keep that aspect of it, but I'm gonna make the cornbread. Because I do also bake. I just don't put that part out there a lot, but I bake a lot and I've baked like things that mimic cocktails. Like I made an old fashioned flavored scone where it has whiskey on the icing and then orange inside of the scone. And so I'm going to make the cornbread, turn it into a cocktail. That's my plan. And I'm gonna I also and this cocktail is hard because as soon as I think of one thing, it takes me down a very complicated spiral. So I'm like, well, if I make the cornbread, I might as well make the butter. And if I make the butter, that'll give me some buttermilk naturally. So I could use the buttermilk to wash the cocktail, which is just where you pour the cocktail in milk, let it sit, and then let it strain out. So that'll give it the buttermilk and milk flavor. And then I'll have my own homemade butter that I'm using in the cocktail as well, and in the cornbread. So I think that that's where this is going.
That sounds like a good direction because I'll tell you one thing, when my mother makes cornbread, and she usually my dad doesn't like sweet cornbread, but she
Mm-hmm.
always takes a little bit of Jiffy in her cornbread because me and her,
Mm.
so it's just a little bit. And she'll, you know, or she'll make her own cornbread with cornmeal, and but it's a little bit of sugar, just a slight, just a teeny tiny sweetness. But
Mm-hmm.
what she does when she takes it out that oven, the first thing she does is cut a slice and put it and get some milk for whatever reason. But because she's from Louisiana, so one thing that they loved that she loved as a kid was eating
Mm-hmm.
cornbread and buttermilk or cornbread and
Mm.
milk. So
Mm-hmm.
that sounds like you're going down a road that be um might
I
be good
think hope
towards
so.
your goal.
Also, people
Mhm.
have given me a lot of suggestions, and I do take the suggestions. The main suggestion is butter, butter, butter. I'm like, I swear to God, there's butter in there. But I do take the people's suggestions, and people have told me things like this, like how you just told me, and I'm like, okay, I like that. I like incorporating these things so that if you see it again, you're like, "Ha, I told her that, and now she's doing it." I feel like it's a community cocktail.
Yes.
I really
Yes,
like
it is
that.
it is it is our cocktail that you're making.
We are
because
doing this
and
together.
nobody else is gonna be able to do it but you. Because I'm not gonna be able to order that anywhere else that I trust them. Because I say, oh no, she went through the fire and the rain to get this cocktail correct.
Okay. This has been tried and tested.
Yes, tried and true, definitely. Well, it's an amazing time talking to you, Ren,
You too,
and
Angie?
it's been so amazing. I'm glad to know that you wear so many different hats and you wear them very well.
Thank you.
It's good to finally just it was a pleasant surprise to find a book lover as well as author uh in the jar that I love, a little stabby, and knowing that you have an appreciation for vinyl and you have an amazing vinyl collection and you are so amazing with your partner and your kids
Oh,
and y'all just hang out and because you growing her up to training her right. I see her making
oh,
her little concoctions and stuff, so that's really cool too. So I thank you, and I'll be, watching you, because I know that you're going to get to like, all right, y'all, I've done it.
oh my gosh, I cannot wait for
The
that day.
cornbread cocktail is here.
I might have a parade after that. I'm like, listen, the cornbread cocktail is done.
Yes, but I will see you next time, and we enjoyed you, and we'll see everybody next week.
Bye.
People needed a beer, so the people made one. Crisp, lightly hot, little to no aroma. People's beer. It's the spot.
Man, Woody, come on, man. You know we got an announcement to make.
Can't do it, man. Can't do it.
Bro, come on, dog. You can do it.
Hey, man, the shirt don't fit anymore.
The shirt don't fit, man. What shirt are you talking about?
All right, man. I guess you gotta pop out and show them sometimes. I guess you gotta pop out and show them sometimes.
They not like us. They not like us. They not like us.
We're back.